This is Gary on Thacker and The Wizard of Oz. We all know The Wizard of Oz. It's one of the most popular films ever made. And in fact, that not everybody knows, there are 40 Wizard of Oz books that started in 1900. So when a film adaptation of the Broadway play Wicked was announced, which in itself is an adaptation of the book Wicked, which shows a new unique origin story for the Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda the Good Witch. I wasn't particularly excited since I had not seen and or read Wicked, and to be honest, I'm not a big play guy, and I just wasn't really interested in Wicked. But I do love The Wizard of Oz, so I thought I'll give it a chance. Those were my thoughts, until I found out that Jeff Goldblum was going to be playing The Wizard of Oz. My favorite actor was going to be playing The Wizard of Oz. To say the least, I was sold. Now I have seen people get this wrong, but Wicked is not connected to the original 1939 Wizard of Oz, or the original Wizard of Oz books. The Wicked book and play and now film is an adaptation of its own thing. So I went in this movie interested to see a Wizard of Oz movie that I wouldn't be comparing to the Wizard of Oz. Jeff Goldblum, of course, and I was just so intrigued to finally see why Wicked is so popular. And why out of all the Broadway plays, Wicked is the second highest grossing Broadway play of all time. So not having seen Wicked, I have not been this surprised by a movie in a very long time. I loved Wicked. This movie is great. Dare I say fantastic. And is my third favorite film of this year. I love musicals, and Wicked is no exception. I love the musical numbers and songs in Wicked. They do exactly what musical numbers should do. They are generally good, entertaining, and they help push the story along in an effective way. And the cinematography in this film might be the best cinematography in any film this entire year. This film is shot so stunning and beautifully. It blew me away. Like the final scene in this movie, I was just sitting back, just wow. I was like, this is why I love the theater experience, and this is why I love movies. Moments like this that I'll cherish for the rest of my entire life. This movie is just visually stunning and beautiful. I think maybe at points looks a little bit too good. Like it's all very shiny and kind of perfect, but it does look really good. And we even get some Wizard of Oz lore. Now I'm not sure if this is faithful to the original books and or play, but I loved even more of the world of Oz. The world of the Wizard of Oz, it's always one that I've wanted to see get explored more. But in most iterations of the Wizard of Oz, it's always the same story with the same locations. And since there are 40 books, I'm sure there's a lot more you can do with this world. And we get some of that in Wicked. We get to see new locations, new characters, more of this world. Now, of course, I have no idea if this is a good adaptation of Wicked. And oh man, I cannot wait until Wicked Part 2, November 21st, 2025. I need this movie right now. And yeah, if you didn't know, this is Wicked Part 1. They're pulling a Dune and splitting it into two parts. And I think the cast is generally solid. Cynthia Erivo is really good as Elphaba. Ariana Grande is really good as Glinda. But I will admit, for most of this movie, I really did not like Glinda. I found her so annoying, which I guess is kind of the point. But towards the end of the movie, I did end up liking her character. But it did take a while. Jeff Goldblum as the Wizard of Oz. The entire reason I was excited for this movie in the first place. I loved it! There isn't a whole ton of him in Wicked Part 1, but I really hope there's more of him in Wicked Part 2. And if there's one thing I wish Wicked Part 2 has, it's a longer Jeff Goldblum musical number. We got one in this one, and it was short and sweet. I loved it. But you do not know how badly I physically need another Jeff Goldblum musical number. My life will not be complete until it happens. So, Universal, I need it to happen. And I was worried that this whole film was just gonna be the Wicked Witch of the West is misunderstood. She's actually not the villain. And thankfully, this movie is not that. I found myself really getting into this story. especially half of the story, which revolves around the animals of Oz, which I had no clue was even going to be a part of the movie. That part really had me engaged, and I really want to see where that continues. If you're not a Wizard of Oz movie, unless you have a new terrifying scene to traumatize a new generation of children. And in this one, there's a honestly pretty frightening scene with the flying monkeys. So if you have small children, some comforting might be needed during that scene. But I do sleep well at night, knowing that another generation of children will be traumatized by the Wizard of Oz. And I'm not sure if this is a part of the play Wicked. I highly doubt it. But this movie tries so hard to remind you of the original 1939 Wizard of Oz. So much so that it kind of got annoying. And it's not direct references, because legally they can't do that. This movie is made by Universal, and The Wizard of Oz was made by MGM. So legally they can't directly reference the original movie, but they can make little nudges and little hints to the original movie. Way too many hints and nudges. Like, for example, they used the really old Universal logo at the beginning. And I was just thinking, that's cool, but it's not nostalgic. At least not for the original Wizard of Oz, which doesn't have that logo in front of it. It's just a minor thing, but overall, I loved Wicked. I can't stress enough how highly I recommend it. It was a big surprise for me, and I cannot wait until Wicked Part 2. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing, and join the subreddit and the Discord server. Bye guys for now! Bye, it's your Thacker.